Hello and what is going on today, guys? Tomcat here and welcome back to another Formula Drift car spotlight in Forza Horizon 4. This is Justin Pawlak's Mustang, and this has been one of the most, well, honestly, like, more of you guys have requested to see this car than almost any of the other cars, so I jumped in it as quickly as possible, and number one, I can't wait to show it to you, but also can't wait to show you how different it is than so many of these other cars. And by the way, the details are, again, remarkably good. Like, well, except for when it fades away like that. But no, the details are so remarkably good on these cars. It's just absolutely incredible. You could see the engine through the front grille. It's just, it's honestly just insane. Like, you can see, oh, if I can get the drone angle right, you can see the fuel cell back there. Everything just looks so good. But enough about how the car looks. I am not going to spend very long on how the car looks because this thing drives so crazy. Like, it is absolutely mental. So we're going to run the drift route that we've been running, and I'm going to leave it in third for a little bit of a good while because, dude, I mean, if you thought that fourth gear was tall in, like, the Viper, for example, it's insanely tall in this car. It's so insanely tall in this car that I really don't ever use fourth gear unless I'm, like, over, oh gosh, like 70, 80 miles an hour. You really don't want to use fourth unless you're over, like, 70 or 80 miles an hour because it'll literally bog. But I like the fact that they give you a good kind of range of gears to use. You're not, like, all the way up to max gear and then you're just sitting there. You know what I mean? You do have a wider range of what you can use. And I like that. I think it's good that they give you that range. So once we get going a little bit faster, I'm going to shift into fourth. And as you can see, there is definitely, like, it doesn't bog, but you can tell it has to, like, it has to almost get the speed matched properly. And it takes a second to do that sometimes. It takes a second to do that for this car. And I don't know if that's because of, like, something with the, like, I don't know if that's something with the car itself, like the tire says it's running. It's probably just a combination of tire size, power, and gearing. That's usually what that comes down to. But in the higher speed stuff, I mean, fourth gear works just fine. When you're under, like, 70 miles an hour, you honestly are better off in third with this car. You really are. And I like I said before, I kind of like that because it actually makes you think about, you know, what gear you want to actually be in, rather than just hanging out in max gear all the time. Because I think, honestly, like, hanging out in max gear all the time kind of gets a little boring, and you want to have that driver engagement, and needing to shift sometimes does give you a little bit more engagement, and it gives you more options as to what the car can be good at. And speaking of what the car is good at, this thing is so wonderfully balanced. It flows so well. It's definitely more hooked up at the back than the Viper it was. The Viper was very, very light at the back. Not quite as light at the back as, like, say, for example, the Ute, but this thing is definitely a really good balance between super hooked up and still loose enough to be a very, very, very enjoyable drift car. I mean, that's what it's built to do, so I would expect it to be extremely good at it, but at the same time, you know, there's always that learning curve with these cars, and they all feel different. They definitely all have their own unique feel. And so far, this car, I really, oh God, okay, get out of that wall. But no, like, so far, this car, I would almost say I like its driving dynamic the best. Oh God, I just realized I'm going to lose my combo if I don't start moving again. But yeah, like, I like its driving dynamic the best out of almost all of the cars I've driven so far. Like, the Viper comes really close. I mean, it's definitely a toss-up between the Viper and this car for me, but those two are definitely two of my favorites, two of my personal favorites, just because of their driving dynamics, and which is surprising to me because the driving dynamics are actually quite different between the Viper and this. And even, like, with that being said, like, it's like if you want something that's kind of, you know, wild and crazy, the Viper definitely works for that. But this is definitely more, oh my God, if I could stay on the road, that'd be lovely. But no, like, this is definitely more along the lines of a very, very focused, very balanced, like, you feel like when you drive this thing, you feel like it's set up, wow, I thought I was going to lose my combo on that. You definitely feel like it's set up well for drifting, but at the same time, it feels like it was set up, you know, it was set up to be super focused. And the Viper feels set up like it was super focused as well, but that car just has a dynamic of kind of insanity and craziness. This car just feels very, very, very pointy, planted, and like it's just an instrument, you know what I mean? It's here for you to tell it to do exactly what you want it to do, and it will do exactly what you want it to do. This thing has this is a very no surprises type car. This will not, you know, this is not going to do anything weird. It is going to do exactly what you tell it to do and nothing more. But if you tell it to do something crazy, it will do something crazy. Like, it will maintain the crazy angles that the Viper maintains. It's super easy to catch. I mean, these cars are all super easy to catch, all the Formula D cars. But at the same time, you know, some have, they all have a different point at which they catch. And this definitely has a very easy to find point. I mean, you can kind of basically pick up this car and right out of the gate be just, you know, putting in massive combos with it. Just huge, huge combos right out of the gate. And I think that it works really well for this particular route, actually, because what I like about this route is the fact that, like, we can either hang right or left right here. I'm going to go right because I want to go up this hill as well. But we have the tight section, we have the flowing section, we have the high-speed section, you know, some uphill, some downhill, and it all tests different aspects of the car. Like, this steep uphill, definitely, you know, it's a higher speed uphill, so it tests the low end, it tests the torque, and to be honest, I have not, well, I lifted a little bit there, but I basically didn't lift up the entire hill, and it kept everything right where it was supposed to be, like right where it should have been, and I like that. It really, really works quite well. Ease it back and forth just a little bit. Oh, God. Woo, that was really close. That was too close, actually. That was closer than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and spin it around, head back down this hill, and then head up the hairpin road. This route, like I said, I love this route because you get such a nice balance of high speed, lower speed, uphill, downhill. It really kind of tests every single dynamic of a drift car. Okay. Whoo, back the other way. Wow. Come on. Here we go. You just got to make sure you keep the transitions going, but if you do that, it's just, I mean, it's so crazy good. Like, it absolutely flies and rakes in points. Absolutely just rakes them in. It's almost like the level of connection with this car is so good that you just almost feel like you're giving it suggestions, and then it's just doing what you imagined in your head. It's like you can imagine a line in your head and then go and do it in this car, and it'll be like, oh yeah, that's how I imagined it in my head. It's so predictable that it'll just literally do. I'm gonna like tail whip the fence for like, oh, maybe not. There we go. Like, you imagine a line in your head and then you just do it. You literally just do it. Like, look, we're going to stay in the outside lane. We're not going to leave the outside lane until that guy comes right in front of us. But, like, you can literally pick a lane. You can pick a lane and you could stay in it. It works so well at what it does. And it's so precise while being a sledgehammer. And I think that's something that's really, really hard to get out of a car. But this thing really gets it. I mean, like, look, right in that lane. Even when you have to adjust with the e-brake, right in that same lane the whole way. And, you know, we put a wheel out of it a little bit, but we didn't go over the center line. And honestly, it just feels right. Like, everything that you do in this car just feels so well sorted and so right that, like, God, you can't really. I don't know if I've ever had a drift car that has the balance that this thing has. If I could stay on the road, that'd be great. God, I got to remember not to go into fourth. I got to remember not to go into fourth in this car because fourth is so long. And if you're under like 50 miles an hour, you can, if you're under 60 miles an hour, you can forget about it. You can genuinely forget about it. Dab a brake, stay to the inside, use the handbrake. A little bit of a switch to the other side. Honestly, like, dude, it's not bad. It's so good. It's really, really, really good. Like, I mean, the level of just smoothness that you get out of this car is on such a level. Like, it's such an insane level that I almost don't know if I've ever used a car in Forza that drifted as smooth as this thing does. I mean, like, the other Formula Drift cars, I mean, they're all awesome, but, I mean, I haven't driven, as of right now, I haven't driven all of them, but this very car is so ridiculously smooth that I don't know if any of them could be smoother than this. Like, you would have to try really, really hard to be smoother than this car. I mean, I am literally flat on the throttle, and just little transitions are so easy. It keeps the rear tires lit, and it just absolutely goes. It absolutely just rips. And it's almost like as long as you don't do anything really, really, really silly, you can't really do anything wrong in this car. This car is not going to look at you and say, oh, you screwed up, now you're going this way. It's like, oh, you screwed up, well, you know, no big deal, just don't do it next time. You know, it's a really forgiving setup. It's a really forgiving car. It's like, it's so forgiving, it's so easy. God. And I think compared to the other cars I've driven so far, I mean, this is definitely the easiest. Definitely the easiest. It's just, I mean, and this thing will actually, it's funny because, like, it's so easy that it gives you time to pick out your lines. It gives you time to pick out what you want to aim for. Like, if you want to put your back, like, the back end of the car, I don't know, into one of those, you know, or a couple of those, you know, little markers on the side of the road, you can do it. You can do it, and you can just think about, oh, yeah, I want to do that, and you can just adjust your line a little bit, and there you go. It'll just smoothly transition right over to wherever you want it to, and generally, right where you thought it would in your head. Like, that's the coolest part, is that it will do exactly what you thought in your head, as long as that's what you know, as long as you have that connection between what you think in your head and, you know, your skills with the car. But, like, if you have your skills with the car where they need to be, whoop, and I'm just going to go. I pulled off the road because I was like, I saw that truck coming. My combo was where I needed it to be. And I was like, you know what? We're pulling off the road, and we're gonna call it right there. But, man, what a wonderful car. 1,135,000 points. Yeah, it's a blast. Whether you're a points drifter or not, this thing is absolutely amazing. It's got the accuracy. It's got the accuracy to tandem. It's got the accuracy to aim for certain clipping points. It's got the power to put in big points combos. And I'm not gonna, like, take a side and go like, oh, points drifting is bad, or oh, like, you suck if you points drift, and you, like, it's only real drifting if you, like, completely disregard points, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to get into that debate, because to be honest, like, no matter whether you drift for points or you drift for, like, just style, there's, like, you're still drifting. And honestly, there's a lot of people that drift for both style and points. So it's one of those things where it's like, honestly, like, it's more like one of those things where, like, I like to just let people, you know, like, do either thing, either way. And the points are a good way to gauge the car. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to click that like button. Tell me in the comments below what you guys thought of it. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe for more. I'll see you guys in the next one. Talk to y'all later. Burnout time.